can I request Sunil Mani just to say a few words on what we can do about the state revenues? I think you've been looking at that very, very closely.
Well, yes, we have not been looking at state revenues, but we have been looking at the revenue expenditure because as Mr. Chandrasekhar has said, the ability to raise revenue is quite limited for the simple reason that 70% of the revenue comes from GST, which is linked to consumption. And if consumption is not happening, then your ability to raise GST will be very limited. So the only way in which you can actually manage the situation is to reduce revenue expenditure. Because as you know, in our state, revenue expenditure is substantially more than capital expenditure, and it's been increasing at an exponential fashion over the last several years. And three items within that, which accounts for a significant proportion, almost like 70% of the increase, is salaries, pensions, and interest payments. Now, salary, you can't really reduce it because 99% of the people who are working in the public sector are on permanent contracts. So you can't reduce their salary or do anything about that. But the only way in which you can do that is redeployment of people, because there are many departments and organizations which are doing, virtually nothing. And there are also similar organizations in the same field. So it's possible for you to actually redeploy some of these people so that they can be better employed. Okay, so that's one kind of suggestion that has been made. The another suggestion which has been made and which has been immediately turned down, I see that in the newspaper, is raising the retirement age, because here is a state where the life expectancy at birth has almost like late, 77, 78, and the retirement age is 56, is one of the lowest in the country. And if you actually increase the retirement age by at least 2 years, 56 to 58, for instance, you will be, according to our estimates, you will be saving something like 5,700 crores in terms of pensions. Okay, and likewise, it is possible for you to find several areas where all kinds of incentives are, quote unquote incentives, are actually given to the public sector employees, which are not there in any other state in the country. So by tweaking those, it's possible for you to reduce revenue expenditures by a fairly significant amount. So even without increase in revenues in the foreseeable future, because of the GST is not expected to increase, and our scope for non-tax revenues are also not that high. The main non-tax revenue is basically from lottery, but that also in terms of expenditures is also quite high. So the net revenue from those non-tax revenue sources are not very high. So you need to reduce revenue expenditures. And, I can't go into the details because there are small bits and pieces which you can, muster from here and there, and which will, of course, add up to a substantial amount.
He's taken the hand away, but Bala, would you like to say something, Bala? Minute or two?
This is about the what you mentioned about the public finance crisis in terms of state government raising resources, etc. I go with what I think it was, Mr. K.M. Chandrasekhar said it, and probably Mr. Nainan also said the same thing, and they hinted, and a couple of others also spoke about it. I think what we have to talk here is about redeployment. It's not that people in the government are lazy or anything. In system theory, we have a maxim: structure determines behavior. You take people out of that system and put them into another system, they will be productive. Like COVID has shown, the same, phenomenal stories, anecdotal evidences coming about the hard work and the complete, and they're earning the admiration of the people. Here, what we have is, we have a huge cohort of people on the payroll, which, Sunil Mani just now mentioned some stratospheric figures. We have a cohort of people who are LDCs, UDCs, section officers, grade 4s. What are they doing? If they all sit at home and you send them the paychecks, the state government will be able to save a hell of a lot of money, and in terms of all the establishment costs, etc. And I think we'll all be better off because no work is affected. On the other hand, if you redeploy, that will be a criminal waste of money. Just sending these guys their paychecks home for doing nothing. Anyway, they're doing very little sitting in the offices. I'm saying redeploy them, because here we have an absurd situation of Asha workers SHGs, Kudumbashri people, all earning pittance and doing phenomenal work, 8 to 10 hours work. Our entire public services are maintained by this kind of subcontracting out. So we have a rentier class of government employees with all benefits who do very little. And we have this really hardworking class of people who are delivering the services the public needs. Why not redeploy these people into that? Constitutionally, what can they say? That I am entitled to pay, to be paid to do nothing? Can anybody argue that? Will any court take that thing? So why don't we take the bull by the horns and redeploy all these people and put them into productive work? Why? They're anyway getting paid. Make them work.